There's so much information out there right now with social networks and all these different kinds of media we have, and most of them are full of either bad news or sensational news or self-serving posts, and there's a lack of humanity and things that really matter. A lot of times I'll devote some time to the internet, or I'll really say get sucked in, and I walk away from it feeling like I'm no more complete, I'm no more closer to the things that really matter in my life. Cowbird's completely different. It's a place that I do find, and I find information about parenting, about relationships, about grief and mourning, about world issues and how people are navigating through all of that. So it's this constant new information that for me makes me feel a little less alone. For me, is exposing me to realities other than my own, and I already know mine. You know, I need something else.
The motto for Drupal, or actually the tagline, has been "Come for the code, stay for the community," and that's exactly what happened to me. I chose Drupal to solve a problem, a very specific problem, and it turned out that I wasn't the only person with this specific problem, and I was able to use ready-made tools to assemble a solution. And throughout this process, I met a lot of great people. A lot of people that were willing to help without even me barely asking, and they were right there with me, and they helped me solve the problem. The community that I had just met helped me solve the problem. So I did. I used the code, and I stayed for the community. I never left.
Wikipedia found me. It first found me on Sunday morning in bed. Like, you just can't be bothered to do anything else except you really want to read everything there is to know. What I really enjoy doing are like those really, I guess they're not even niche, they're just like hole in the wall or sort of like obscure sorts of pages that are like, that really push the envelope and boundaries of like what, you know, what would normally be written in encyclopedias.
If you look back at the history of 3D printing, the desire to make this Thingiverse has been there from the very beginning. Not just the ability to make things, but the community aspect of it. MakerBot started Thingiverse as a way for the entire community to contribute to this revolution in making.
eBird started in 2002, and it was created by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and Audubon Society. And they got together because they realized how important it was for all of these bird sightings that people were making around the country, to how important it was to compile them into one database. And so they just created a website where people could submit all their checklists into one place, so that all the bird sightings across the United States and now internationally are being compiled into this one database.
I was always really interested in astrophysics and astronomy. As a small child, I was 8 years old, and my goal in life was to become an astrophysicist. Then, of course, high school happened, math, you know, I sort of diverted towards more of the humanities side of it, but I was always interested in it. Planet Hunters is a project started by the Zooniverse in conjunction with Yale University. People just were drawn to it, I think because of the implications of it. We're not just looking for little rocks rotating around balls of gas billions of years away from here. We're looking for ourselves. We're looking for life in the universe.
Cowbird's definitely shaped what I do with the camera in the stories I tell, and in the way that I share them with people. And for me, I was already doing a lot of this stuff on social media sites and on blogs, but people have a very short attention span, and so I would find myself really compressing these stories and compressing something I felt strongly about, because I knew that the audience that was there wasn't really there for that experience. And so at times they were compromised. I don't do that with Cowbird because I know everyone that's there is there for that experience.
When I went to the Wikimania in Haifa in 2011, there was a man there from Nigeria and he wanted to improve the articles on AIDS, right? So I couldn't actually improve it because I don't really know enough about medicine, but what I could do was, and I organized the people to record the article, the spoken article, so that people who are illiterate could listen to the article.
We've spent a lot of time reinventing the wheel with closed source. And now with open source, it gives us the opportunity, okay, I invented this collection of wheels and we've implemented it this way, so we don't really have to focus on this anymore, so let's raise our level. And then we sort of, this hive of knowledge just builds and it grows and it grows and it grows.
eBird has an app, Bird Log, that makes it super easy when you're out in the field to just write down what you've seen. Scientists can use that data to make analysis about bird distribution, abundance, and seasonal movement, migration, timing of migration. Last year, they had over 33 million bird sightings reported. So you can see that you're starting to get a lot of data, and you can really do a lot with that data.
Now, 3D printing's been around for 30, 40 years, but now finally the 3D printer is available to the average consumer, and it's able to make anything you can really imagine. Every day I'm amazed at what people think up to put on there. It's somewhere near 30,000 objects now, things as we call them, and just growing every day.
We live in this time in history where so many important discoveries were made, and I don't know how much we appreciate it globally, because most of these very specific discoveries are made within very specific fields, and I think that's another implication of Planet Hunters, is getting the word out that all this stuff is being done, all these discoveries are being made.
I think that's kind of my favorite part, is these weird serendipitous relationships that come about. Of course you're going to meet people at work, of course you're going to meet your neighbors, but when you walk around with a camera documenting stories, you have no idea who you're going to meet. I met you guys, didn't know I was going to meet y'all last week. I met Finger, didn't know I was going to meet him an hour ago, but now he's a part of my mind, you know, he's part of my story.
We grew up listening to the stories of the great inventors, and I suppose we all want a little piece of that. We all want to be little Edisons or Wright brothers or Teslas. Maybe it has to do with leaving a legacy or leaving some mark on the world. Could be part of that. Could be part of just a desire to, you know, leave your mark in the landscape somehow.
I think Quentin Tarantino said a good movie is never done, it's simply abandoned. That's kind of the way this feels to me. Any sort of piece of code within this ecosystem is never done.
It reminds me of the structure of the universe. It's kind of the same with society. There's different atoms, people, different individuals that are all there for their own reason, that all do their own thing, but ultimately when you put them all together, you end up with a system. As anything that emerges, it will depend on what we do with it. It can just become, you know, just a thing that happened once upon a time, or people can roll with it.
The most intense moment of birding I've ever had was with my wife Austin. We were doing a seabird survey off of a whale watching boat in Bellingham, Washington. And we were in the middle of Bellingham Bay when we saw this odd bird flying around above us. And it was something that we'd never seen before, but it looked familiar. We'd seen it in the bird books, and all the birds around it were mobbing it. And it was like, wow, I can't, this is something really strange. And as it got closer, we realized we were seeing a brown booby. And this is an extremely rare bird for that area. The brown booby is a bird that is native to Mexico or Central and South America. And there's very few records even from California. I think there was one, maybe two records from Washington State before. It was just extremely rare bird. And when we were in the middle of Bellingham Bay, we saw a brown booby fly over. It was getting mobbed by the other birds. They knew it wasn't supposed to be there. We knew it wasn't supposed to be there. And we were just freaking out because it's just an incredible bird, and it has these incredible plunge dives where it catches fish by diving into the water. And